Hello, Yancy. The voice on the other end of the phone was calm. So calm it sounded as if she were talking about the weather. I stood inside the roaring stock exchange hall. On the giant electronic screen, red numbers were flashing wildly. They belonged to our company's stock code. Starring Technology. I'm here. My voice was equally calm. Only my knuckles, widening around the phone, betrayed the emotion underneath. I got the marriage certificate with Jingming today. Su Qin paused, as if waiting for my reaction. From now on, there's no need for us to contact each other again. Around me were deafening cheers. Champagne corks popped one after another. Everyone was celebrating the peak moment of my life, Ethan Fu. And at that exact moment, I heard the sound of my world collapsing. I said nothing. I simply hung up. My assistant, Noah Chen, walked over and lowered his voice. Mr. Fu, everything is ready. It's time for you to ring the bell. I looked at him and pulled out a smile so faint it almost did not exist. Notify the legal department. Prepare the divorce agreement. And start the clean sweep plan. Noah's expression did not change at all. He only bowed slightly. Yes, Mr. Fu. He had followed me for 5 years. From the days when I had nothing to today, standing here at the center of lights and capital, he had always been this steady. No waves. No panic. I turned and walked toward the bronze bell that symbolized wealth and glory. Every step felt like stepping on cotton. And on knives. Camera flashes exploded before my eyes, so bright they almost pierced through me. I picked up the hammer. Using every bit of strength in my body, I struck it hard. Clang! The long, resonant bell tone drowned out every noise in the hall. A perfect smile hung on my face as I accepted everyone's congratulations. Congratulations, Mr. Fu. Starring Technology opened with a huge rise. Unstoppable. Young and promising. Mr. Fu is truly a role model for our industry. Holding a champagne glass, I clinked with one warm, smiling face after another. I said polite, distant words. No one knew that just a moment ago, I had lost the woman I thought would share all this with me. Su Qin. My wife. We had been married for 3 years. From the hardest days of my startup to today's glory, I thought we were a couple who had gone through hardship together. But I forgot. In her heart, there had always been a moonlight she could not let go of. His name was Julian Liu. A poor painter who had nothing but his paintings. And even those paintings could not sell. My phone vibrated in my pocket. A news notification popped up. The headline was so glaring that I almost lost my balance. On Starring Technology's listing day, CEO's wife Su Qin registers marriage with famous young painter Julian Liu. True love or hidden story? The photo attached was of the two of them standing outside the civil affairs office. Su Qin smiled brightly, holding 2 red marriage booklets in her hand, leaning into Julian's arms. That smile was even more piercing than the red numbers on the exchange screen today. I turned off the phone and drank the champagne in my glass in one gulp. The liquor was cold. It burned all the way down my throat into my stomach. I did not miss the celebration banquet that night. Among clinking glasses and flattering voices, I was the focus of everyone's attention. A successful man in the springtime of his life. I drank glass after glass. Toasted everyone. Always smiling. Only I knew that beneath that smile was a frozen sea. Halfway through the banquet, Noah walked to my side and handed me a new phone. Mr. Fu, your new number. The old number and all your social media accounts have been cancelled. I accepted the phone and nodded. Has she contacted me? Noah shook his head. No. But Ms. Su Qin's mother, Linda Liu, has called more than 30 times. I sneered. Ignore her. Yes. Noah paused, then added, also, regarding the clean sweep plan, the first step is complete. All jointly held assets under your name and Ms. Su's name, including 3 properties, 5 fund accounts, and all shares you previously gifted to her, have been legally frozen. They have entered the premarital property separation process. I looked at the brilliant lights in the distance. My voice carried not a trace of warmth. Good. What's next? The lenses of Noah's glasses reflected cold light. Miss Serena Sheng, daughter of Sheng Group, has already scheduled a meeting with you tomorrow at 10 in the morning. The next day, I woke with a splitting headache from the hangover. This was not the home Su Qin and I shared. It was my penthouse apartment downtown. Outside the massive floor-to-ceiling windows was a gray sky. Noah had already prepared breakfast and hangover soup. "Mr. Fu, you have 30 minutes to eat. Then we need to go to the company." I rubbed my temples and drank the strange-tasting soup in one gulp. "What about Su Qin? Any news?" Ms. Su and Mr. Julian Liu stayed last night at the Cloudwater Villa in the western suburbs. Noah's tone was like a weather report. "That villa was bought in full by Julian Liu last month. 12 million yuan. My hand holding the coffee paused. Where did he get the money? Julian Liu was a painter. But not a single one of his paintings could sell. He had always lived off Su Qin's support. We checked. The money came from an overseas trust fund. The beneficiary is Julian Liu himself. The funds were injected into his account 2 months ago." Noah handed me a tablet. "And recently, he has become famous in the art world. Several top galleries are fighting over his works, and prices have risen sharply." I looked at Julian's high-spirited photo on the tablet. Beside him stood Su Qin, smiling beautifully. Suddenly, I found it funny. So I was the joke. I thought she married me because she loved me. In the end, I was only the stepping stone she used to run toward true love. "I understand." I put down the coffee cup and stood. "Go to the company." At 10 in the morning, I met Serena Sheng in the reception area of my office. She wore a clean white suit. Her long hair was pinned up. Her makeup was exquisite. Her eyes were sharp as knives. "Mr. Fu, I've heard a lot about you." She extended her hand. I shook it. Her hand was cold, but strong. "Miss Sheng, please sit." We sat opposite each other, separated by an expensive mahogany tea table. Noah brewed tea for us, then quietly left and closed the door. "Mr. Fu was truly glorious yesterday." Serena spoke first. It was impossible to tell whether she was mocking or complimenting. Of course, a fire in the backyard must have been unpleasant. I looked at her without speaking. She smiled and picked up her teacup. "Just a joke. Don't mind me, Mr. Fu. Let's talk business." She set the cup down and leaned slightly forward. "My father's meaning must have been passed on by Assistant Chen. Sheng Group is willing to inject 5 billion yuan into starring technology to help you expand overseas. The condition is that we need 30% equity. And a marriage alliance." Her gaze met mine directly. So openly that it did not feel like she was discussing her own marriage. "Miss Sheng does not seem resistant to this deal." I finally spoke. She raised an eyebrow. "Resistant? Why would I be? Mr. Fu is young, capable, and handsome. Starring technology has unlimited potential. If I marry you, it's a guaranteed profit." She paused, and a meaningful smile curved her lips. "Besides, I enjoy watching people fall from the clouds into the mud. Especially arrogant women who think too highly of themselves." I instantly understood. So Miss Sheng already knows about my situation. More than knows. Serena leaned back on the sofa, lazy and elegant. "Your ex-wife Su Qin, and her precious moonlight Julian Liu, I knew about them before you did." My pupils tightened slightly. "What do you mean?" Serena picked up a crystal ornament from the tea table and played with it in her hand. "Julian Liu held an art exhibition in France 6 months ago. The organizer of that exhibition was a foundation under my name." My heart shook. "At that time, Su Qin also went to France, didn't she?" Serena glanced at me. There was a trace of pity in her eyes. "Not only did she go to raise money for Julian Liu's exhibition, she sold the ocean heart necklace you gave her." "Mr. Fu, don't tell me you didn't know." Of course I knew about that necklace. The ocean heart was a blue diamond necklace worth 30 million yuan. I gave it to Su Qin on our first wedding anniversary. 6 months ago, she said she accidentally lost it at a party. She even cried for days because of it. I did not suspect her. I comforted her instead. Looking back now, I had been ridiculous and pitiful. My face must have looked terrible. Serena put the crystal ornament down. "Sorry. I didn't mean to tear open your wound. I only want to tell you this. Our enemy may be the same person." "Enemy?" I frowned. I thought my enemies were only Su Qin and Julian Liu. "You are too naive, Mr. Fu." Serena shook her head. "Do you really think a poor painter could suddenly gain access to an overseas trust fund? Do you really think he could rise so quickly in the art world by himself? And do you really think Su Qin would give you such a fatal blow on the day your company listed purely because of so-called love?" Every sentence was like a hammer striking my heart. Someone is controlling everything behind the scenes. I reached the conclusion. Correct. Serena's expression turned serious. And that person's target is you. And starring technology. She stood and walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, looking down at the traffic below. Mr. Fu, there is no love without reason in this world. And no hatred without reason either. Su Qin's betrayal and Julian Liu's rise are only the opening act of a large show. And you are the main character. I stayed silent for a long time, absorbing the enormous amount of information. Why should I believe you? Serena turned around. Sunlight outlined her figure in gold. Because the actual controller of the overseas trust that funded Julian Liu is Victor Xiao of Xiao Group. And Victor Xiao is my father's biggest competitor. His target is to swallow Sheng Group. And your starring technology is one of the most important pieces in his plan. Victor Xiao. I had heard of the name. A ruthless man known as the Shark of the capital market. So your marriage alliance with me is to fight Victor Xiao together? You can say that. Serena returned to her seat. Mr. Fu, this is a business war. Marriage is only the contract of our alliance. I need your technology and your mind. You need Sheng Group's capital and connections. We each take what we need. Mutual benefit. She paused, then added, of course, along the way, we can also help you take revenge and let your ex-wife and her moonlight taste what it feels like to fall from heaven into hell. What do you think of this deal? I looked at her. This beautiful and dangerous woman. There was not a trace of emotion in her eyes. Only calm calculation and blazing ambition. Working with her was no different from asking a tiger for its skin. But at this moment, I had no other choice. I extended my hand. Happy cooperation. Serena smiled and took my hand. Happy cooperation. Just then, someone knocked on the office door. Noah's voice sounded from outside, carrying a barely noticeable urgency. Mr. Fu, Ms. Su is here at the front desk. She insists on seeing you. Before I could speak, Serena laughed first. Speak of the devil. Looks like the show is about to begin. She stood and adjusted her suit jacket. Mr. Fu, do you mind if your fiancé watches the show with you? I glanced at her. I did not refuse. Noah, let her in. The door opened. Su Qin walked in. She wore a white dress. Her long hair fell over her shoulders. Her makeup was delicate. She looked like a princess attending a party, not a woman who had just betrayed her husband. When she saw Serena sitting on the sofa, the smile on her face stiffened. Yancy, who is this? There was a trace of questioning in her tone. I leaned back in my chair, hands crossed, and looked at her coldly. Ms. Su, since yesterday, we no longer have any relationship. Who my guest is does not seem to be your business. Su Qin's face paled. Yancy, do you have to talk to me like this? We were husband and wife for 3 years. Stop. I interrupted her. From the moment you held a marriage certificate with another man and announced it to the world, the only thing left between us is a divorce agreement. Serena stood at the perfect time and walked to my side. Her arm naturally rested on my shoulder. Hello, Miss Su. My name is Serena Sheng. I am Yancy's fiancée. She emphasized the word. Su Qin's eyes widened violently. She looked at me, then at Serena in disbelief. Fiancée? Fu Yancy, what do you mean? We haven't divorced yet. Her voice sharpened, losing the composure from earlier. Soon. I said lightly. My lawyer will send the divorce agreement to you as soon as possible. I suggest you sign obediently. Don't play tricks. Su Qin's body swayed as if she might collapse. No, impossible, Yancy, you can't do this to me. Were our 3 years of marriage fake? She began playing the emotion card. Her eyes reddened, tears forming. If this were before, I would have softened immediately at this sight. But now, I only found it deeply ironic. Marriage? I sounded as if I had heard the world's funniest joke. Su Qin, you want to talk about marriage with me? When you took my money to fund your Moonlights exhibition, and the moment he became successful, you chose my company's listing day to give me the biggest humiliation possible. Why didn't you talk about marriage then? Every word landed like a slap across her face. Her face turned from white to green. Her lips trembled, and she could not say a word. I wasn't what? I stood and walked toward her step by step. You didn't deliberately choose that day? Or you didn't sell the ocean heart for Julian Liu? Su Qin's pupils contracted violently. All color drained from her face. How do you know? I stood before her and looked down. If you don't want people to know, don't do it. Su Qin, I really underestimated you before. I leaned close to her ear and spoke in a voice only the two of us could hear. Did you think everything you did was flawless? Did you think Julian Liu truly loves you? You are nothing but a chess piece in someone else's hand. A disposable piece that can be thrown away at any time. Su Qin's body trembled violently. You're lying. Jingming loves me. He is not a chess piece. She defended him fiercely, but her voice was full of guilt. I straightened and stepped back, widening the distance between us again. Is that so? Then watch carefully. Watch how long your true love can protect you. I turned away. Noah, see the guest out. Noah walked in and made a gesture. Ms. Su, please. Su Qin stood still and refused to leave. Her eyes were fixed on me, filled with unwillingness and resentment. Fu Yanci, don't be smug. Do you think finding the daughter of Sheng Group means you can rest easy? Just wait. You will regret this. I ignored her shouting. Serena walked to my side and chuckled. Mr. Fu, your ex-wife doesn't seem willing to accept defeat. I picked up my teacup and took a sip of cold tea. A cornered dog always jumps the wall. Seeing that I remained unmoved, Su Qin turned her attack toward Serena. Miss Sheng, right? Don't think you've won. If Fu Yanci can treat me like this today, he can treat you the same way tomorrow. He is a cold-blooded bastard with no feelings. Serena elegantly brushed back her hair. Her smile was bright. Thank you for the reminder, Miss Su. But I am different from you. What I want from him has never been his feelings. Her words stabbed precisely into Su Qin's weakest point. Su Qin's face flushed red. What about me? Serena stepped forward and stood before her. Her height advantage allowed her to look down at Su Qin. Miss Su, did you think that if you came to Yanci today, he would remember old feelings, soften his heart, and give you a generous breakup payment so you could live happily with your moonlight? Su Qin's thoughts were exposed. Her eyes darted away. I didn't stop pretending. Serena's voice turned cold. Put away your pitiful little act. It may have worked in front of Yanci before. But in front of me, it is worthless. She leaned closer to Su Qin and lowered her voice. Let me tell you this. You came to the wrong place today. Not only will you not get a single cent, but you and your precious painter will die even faster. Su Qin was intimidated by her powerful aura and subconsciously stepped back. What are you trying to do? Serena smiled like an elegant and dangerous leopard. Nothing. I'm only reminding you. The game has just begun. After saying that, she stepped back and took my arm again. Yanci, let's go. Don't let people like this dirty our eyes. I nodded. Together, we walked past Su Qin without looking at her again. When we reached the door, I heard Su Qin scream behind us. Fu Yanci. You bastard. You will regret this. I hate you. I did not stop. Regret? From the moment she called me, the word regret disappeared from my dictionary. All that remained was revenge. Inside the elevator, Serena looked at me. How does it feel? Opening an old wound with your own hands, does it hurt? I stared at my blurred reflection on the elevator wall. Expressionless. It hurts. That's how you remember the lesson. Serena smiled. You are more ruthless than I imagined. I'm starting to like you a little. I pulled at the corner of my mouth. Miss Sheng's liking is something I cannot afford. With a ding, the elevator reached the first floor. The doors opened. I was about to step out when Serena suddenly pulled me back. She rose on tiptoe and kissed my cheek. I froze. She smiled slyly, like a child who had succeeded in mischief. Don't misunderstand. There are reporters downstairs. If we're acting, we need to act fully. She lowered her voice beside my ear. From now on, we are a couple deeply in love. Mr. Fu, this is the test of your acting skills. We walked out of the elevator lobby. Sure enough, reporters had surrounded the entrance. Camera flashes instantly went crazy. Mr. Fu. Are you dating Miss Sheng? Mr. Fu, has your marriage with Ms. Su Qin reached its end? Miss Sheng, are you interfering in Mr. Fu's marriage as a third party? One question was sharper than the next. I did not speak. Instinctively, I shielded Serena behind me. But Serena walked out from behind me gracefully. With a sweet smile on her face, she held my arm tightly. Thank you for your concern. Her voice was clear. Yancy and I truly love each other. There is no question of who interfered with whom. As for certain people and matters already in the past, we will not comment. We hope everyone can give us some space. Her answer was flawless. It admitted our relationship while pushing away all responsibility. I cooperated by wrapping an arm around her waist and giving the cameras a doting smile. Yes. Jixia is the person I have been waiting for. We will get engaged soon. When the time comes, we will inform everyone. Those words were like a bomb. The reporters went insane. Mr. Fu, does this mean you and Ms. Su are already divorced? Engaged? Has the date been set? With Noah and the bodyguards escorting us, we finally squeezed through the crowd and got into a black Bentley. The moment the door closed, all the noise outside was cut off. Serena immediately let go of my arm. The smile on her face vanished completely. She took out a wet wipe from her bag and carefully wiped the area where she had just held my arm, as if it had touched something dirty. I raised an eyebrow. Miss Sheng, is that necessary? She looked up at me coldly. Mr. Fu, I am only a businesswoman with cleanliness standards. Acting is acting. I hope we can maintain appropriate distance. I laughed. Then where was this cleanliness habit when you kissed me in the elevator? A faint unnatural blush flashed across Serena's cheeks. But she quickly returned to normal. That was to deal with reporters. The nature is different. Her stubborn denial was unexpectedly cute. I did not continue the topic. Instead, I asked, were those reporters arranged by you? Half and half. Serena looked out the window. I only had someone release a little rumor that you would meet the daughter of Sheng Group at your company. I didn't expect them to be so dedicated and block the door this quickly. She turned to look at me. But the effect was good, wasn't it? Tomorrow's headlines will definitely be about us. Your ex-wife's expression must be wonderful when she sees them. I leaned back and closed my eyes. I don't care whether her expression is wonderful. I only want to know what Victor Xiao will do next. He will attack your company. Serena's tone was certain. Starring Technology has just listed and its foundation is unstable. Now news breaks that your marriage collapsed and you are about to ally with the Sheng family through marriage. The stock price will definitely fluctuate. This is the best time to short sell. I opened my eyes. A cold gleam flashed inside them. Then let him come. I want to see how sharp that shark's teeth really are. Serena looked at me. A trace of appreciation appeared in her eyes. I like your confidence. But don't be careless. Victor Xiao is not easy to deal with. She took a document from her bag and handed it to me. This contains all the fund transfer records I found between Victor Xiao and Julian Liu. Also, the so-called art promoter behind Julian Liu is actually someone Victor planted beside him. I accepted the file and quickly flipped through it. The contents were more shocking than I imagined. Victor Xiao had practically designed a grand road to success specifically for Julian Liu. All for one purpose, to make Su Qin believe Julian was her destined true love, so she would willingly betray me. Does Su Qin know any of this? I closed the file. My voice was a little hoarse. Serena shook her head. I don't think so. She is probably still in the dark. She likely believes Julian Liu's success came from his own talent and from her support as his patron. Her words were full of mockery. I clenched the file until my knuckles turned white. Stupid woman. Sold by others, yet still counting money for them. Mr. Fu. Noah's voice came from the front seat. Are we going back to the company, or, before I could answer, Serena spoke first. Go to Cloud Peak Club. I've invited a few friends. I'll introduce my fiancé to them. She looked at me, smiling meaningfully. Mr. Fu, the show has only just begun. Cloud Peak Club was the top private club in the city. Only the rich and powerful could enter. Serena brought me into a private room. Inside sat several bright and glamorous young men and women. When they saw Serena, they immediately stood. Jixia, you finally came. A man in a pink shirt who looked somewhat frivolous came forward. So this is the legendary Mr. Fu? As expected, handsome and impressive. You and our Jixia standing together really look like a perfect match. Serena rolled her eyes at him. Caleb Gu, stop running your mouth. She introduced him to me. This is Caleb Gu, my childhood friend. And the others are from our circle. Then she introduced me to them. This is Ethan Fu, president of Starring Technology, and my fiancé. The word fiancé immediately drew meaningful cheers from the room. Wow, Jixia, isn't this a little fast? The news only came out yesterday, and today he's already your fiancé? Right? I thought this was just a business marriage for fun. Serena's face did not change. She held my arm intimately. We are in free love. Right, Yancy? She winked at me. I could only cooperate, nodding with the perfect smile of a devoted boyfriend. Whatever Jixia says is right. Caleb Gu clapped first. Tisk, TSK. Look at that. So sweet. Come on, Mr. Fu. First time meeting us, you have to drink. He poured me a large glass of whiskey. I did not refuse. I raised it and drank it all. Good. Mr. Fu is straightforward. The atmosphere soon became lively. These people were all sharp. Although they joked, not one of them asked about Su Qin. They only toasted me, offering compliments, as if I had been born to stand beside Serena Sheng. I handled everything smoothly. But my heart remained clear. I knew Serena did not bring me here merely to introduce friends. She was sending a strong signal to the outside world, especially to Victor Xiao. Ethan Fu is now Serena Sheng's man. To touch him is to touch the Sheng family. After several rounds of drinks, Serena used the bathroom as an excuse and pulled me out into the hallway. The corridor was quiet, completely different from the noise inside the room. How is it? Getting used to it? She leaned against the wall and looked at me. Not bad. I adjusted my slightly messy tie. Your friends are very enthusiastic. They are not my friends. Serena shook her head. They are merely the children of my father's business partners. In this circle, there are no friends. Only interests. Her voice carried a maturity that did not fit her age. Looking at her, I suddenly felt that this woman might not be as glamorous as she appeared. What about you? I asked almost unconsciously. Is your marriage alliance with me also only for interests? Serena froze for a moment, then laughed. What else? Mr. Fu, don't tell me you think I truly fell in love with you at first sight. She walked closer, raised her hand, and retied my tie. Her fingers were cold. They carried a faint perfume scent. They brushed past my throat, causing a slight tremor. Ethan Fu, remember our relationship. We are allies. Business partners. Do not mix in unnecessary feelings. Her voice was soft but firm. That would make both of us very dangerous. I looked into her eyes. They were like two bottomless lakes. I nodded. I understand. At that moment, my phone rang. It was Noah. I answered. After only one sentence, my expression darkened. What did you say? Say it again. Serena looked at me and frowned. What happened? I hung up. My face was iron blue. Victor Xiao has moved. He joined forces with more than a dozen institutions and is short-selling our stock like crazy. Just now, Starring stock hit limit down. Serena's face changed too. So fast? He came prepared. I immediately turned and walked out. I have to return to the company now. I'm going with you. Serena followed. We returned to the private room, briefly said goodbye to Caleb and the others, then left quickly. Caleb chased after us. What happened? Why so urgent? Serena answered simply, Starring is being shorted. Caleb's face turned serious. Victor Xiao? Who else? Caleb looked at me, then said to Serena, need help? My father still has some connections at the securities regulator. Serena shook her head. Not for now. This is a business war. We follow the rules. If needed, I'll call you. Fine. Call anytime. Caleb patted my shoulder. Mr. Fu, hold on. I nodded. On the way back to the company, my phone kept ringing. Company executives. Shareholders. I answered none of them. I simply put it on silent. What do you plan to do now? Serena asked. Stock hit limit down. Panic is spreading through the market. When the market opens tomorrow, it will definitely keep falling. If you do not act, within 3 days your company could be forcibly liquidated. Then there will be no way back. I watched the street scenery flash past the window. My eyes were exceptionally calm. If he wants to play, I'll play to the end. I took out my phone and called Noah. Noah, notify everyone. All departments work overtime tonight. Technical department, monitor trading data closely. I want detailed information on every short selling account. PR department, prepare the press release. Tomorrow morning, I will hold a press conference. Press conference? Serena looked surprised. At a time like this, what are you going to say? Admit the company is in crisis? I hung up and looked at her. A cold smile curved my lips. No, I will announce two things. First, Starring Technology will start a 10 billion yuan buyback plan. No matter the cost, we stabilize the stock price. Serena's eyes lit up. Cutting off the enemy's foundation. Bold. But do you have that much cash? I don't. But you do. I looked directly into her eyes. Miss Sheng, our alliance should now play its role. The 5 billion you promised I needed immediately. Serena held my gaze for a few seconds. Then she smiled. No problem. The money will reach your company's account before midnight. She paused. And the second thing? A ruthless light flashed in my eyes. Second, I will release evidence to the media. I took out the file she had given me and tapped it. Evidence enough to destroy Julian Liu's reputation and make Su Qin the laughingstock of the city. Victor Xiao likes using women and public opinion as weapons. Then I'll give him a taste of his own medicine. I will let him know that I, Ethan Fu, am not a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Starring Technology's headquarters was brightly lit. The moment I walked in, all employees stood and looked at me. The air was filled with tension and unease. I walked to the center of the lobby and looked around. I know everyone is worried right now. My voice was not loud, but every person could hear me. The company's stock price has suffered malicious short selling. Many people are spreading rumors that Starring is finished. I paused and raised my voice. But I am telling you this. As long as I, Ethan Fu, am still standing here, Starring will not fall. I promise all of you. Not only will we win this battle, we will make those who want to laugh at us pay a painful price. Now, everyone return to your posts. Raise your spirits. The battle has only just begun. My words were like adrenaline injected into the company. The employees, originally terrified, regained their fighting spirit. Yes, Mr. Fu. The unified answer rang through the entire lobby. I returned to the office and immediately called all executives into a meeting. Serena also attended in her dual identity as Shen Group representative and the president's fiancée. The meeting room was heavy. The financial director spoke first, voice trembling. Mr. Fu, the situation is extremely unfavorable. The other side's capital is enormous. Our support funds are only a drop in the bucket. At this rate, we can hold until noon tomorrow at most. The marketing director also looked troubled. Online public opinion has completely gone out of control. News about your private life, combined with the stock crash, has caused many retail investors to sell our shares. It has created a vicious cycle. I listened to their reports, expression dark as still water. Only after everyone finished did I speak. You don't need to worry about money. I looked at Serena. Shen Group will urgently inject 5 billion yuan into Starring Technology. The money will arrive tonight. The room was stunned. Everyone looked at Serena and me in shock. Serena stood and nodded to them. Everyone, my father strongly believes in Starring Technology's future. Shen Group will stand together with Starring and overcome this crisis. With Serena's guarantee, the atmosphere in the meeting room relaxed at once. I continued assigning tasks. Finance department, once the funds arrive, immediately begin repurchasing shares. I want you to pull the stock price back at all costs. PR department, contact all media. I will hold a press conference tomorrow at 10. Also, leak this material to several influential financial bloggers in a natural way. I handed the file about Julian Liu to the PR director. Technical department, continue tracking the short-selling accounts. I want every fund flow from Victor Xiao traced clearly. Yes, Mr. Fu. Once tasks were assigned, everyone began running like clockwork. After the meeting, only Serena and I remained in the office. You don't look nervous at all. She poured me a glass of water. Does nervousness help? I leaned back and rubbed my brow. Since Victor Xiao dared to move, he must have prepared thoroughly. What I need to do now is tear a hole in his encirclement. Serena sat opposite me. You're betting everything on tomorrow's press conference? Not entirely. I shook my head. The press conference only diverts public attention and strikes back against Victor Xiao's public opinion weapon. The real battlefield is still the capital market. I looked at her. Miss Sheng, I need a favor. Say it. Arrange a meeting for me. With whom? Victor Shao. Serena froze. You want to see him? Why? Seeing him now would look like admitting defeat. I smiled. No, I'm going to deliver him a gift. The next morning, Starring Technology's press conference was packed. Serena and I sat side by side at the main table, facing countless cameras and flashes. First, I announced Shen Group's investment and the 10 billion yuan buyback plan. The news instantly caused an uproar. Then I changed direction. I know recent rumors about my personal life have troubled everyone. Here, I do not wish to explain too much. I only want to say this. The end of a relationship always has its reasons. I looked at Serena beside me, my gaze gentle. I am fortunate that at the lowest point of my life, I met Jixia. She gave me the courage to start again. Serena cooperated by holding my hand. A happy smile appeared on her face. The flashes below brightened again. At that moment, a reporter suddenly stood and shouted, "Mr. Fu, rumors online say your ex-wife, Ms. Su Qin, left you for so-called true love. What is your comment?" The question was clearly arranged in advance. I looked at the reporter and gave a meaningful smile. True love? My reporter friend, have you misunderstood the definition of true love? I pressed the remote. Behind me, documents appeared immediately on the big screen. They were the investigation report Serena had given me about the source of Julian Liu's funds. Everyone, please look. This so-called young painter, Mr. Julian Liu, did not succeed because of talent. He succeeded because of strong support from a hidden sponsor. Overseas trust fund. Top galleries. Professional promoters. All of this was an elaborate scam. The purpose was to package a so-called artistic genius, so certain people could throw themselves into his arms with a clear conscience. My words made the entire venue explode. Reporters madly pressed their shutters, recording every word on the screen. As for my ex-wife, Ms. Su Qin, what role she played in this scam, victim or accomplice, I believe everyone can judge for themselves. I did not say everything. But it was already enough to guide public opinion. The moment the press conference ended, relevant news spread across the internet like a virus. Julian Liu persona collapse, Su Qin's wealthy dream shattered, Ethan Fu strikes back from the edge. Trending topics quickly occupied the top spots on every social platform. Public opinion reversed instantly. Julian Liu became a kept man propped up by hidden capital. Su Qin became synonymous with vanity and stupidity. Countless insults and mockery rushed toward them. At the same time, under the push of massive buyback funds, Starring Technology's stock began to miraculously stop falling and recover. I knew this was only the first round. Victor Shao would not stop here. That afternoon, I received Serena's call. It's arranged. Tonight at 8. Still Mine Tea House. He's alone? Alone. I hung up and looked at the sky gradually darkening outside. Coldness flashed in my eyes. Victor Shao. We are finally meeting. That night, I went alone to Still Mine Tea House. It was an elegant, antique place. In a private room by the window, I met Victor Shao. He was in his 50s, wearing a traditional Chinese long gown, slowly brewing tea. He looked less like a businessman and more like a scholar. But his eyes were sharp as a hawk's. "Mr. Fu, you are calmer than I expected." He poured me a cup of tea and made a gesture. I did not touch it. I went straight to the point. "Chairman Shao, let's not speak in riddles. What exactly do you want?" Victor smiled and took a sip of tea. "You're too serious, Mr. Fu. I'm just an ordinary businessman. If I see a chance to make money, I naturally won't let it pass. Is that so?" I took a small USB drive from my pocket and placed it on the table. "I wonder whether Chairman Shao is interested in this." Victor's gaze fell on the USB drive. His eyes changed slightly. "What is it?" "All accounts and transaction records for your overseas money laundering." I spoke word by word. "I believe if I hand this to Swiss financial regulators, the second half of your life will probably be spent in prison." The smile finally disappeared from Victor's face. He stared at the USB drive with eyes dark enough to drip water. How did you get these?" This information was his deepest secret. The foundation of his business empire. And the sword of Damocles hanging over his head. I smiled. "Chairman Shao, have you forgotten what I built my company on?" Starring Technology began with cybersecurity. Breaking through a few encrypted accounts was not difficult for me. You spent so much effort using Su Qin and Julian Liu against me because you wanted to swallow my company and add it to your business empire. I pushed the USB drive closer. Now, I give you a choice. Either immediately stop attacking Starring, spit out all the shares you swallowed, and we stay out of each other's way. Or we destroy each other. I guarantee that before you swallow Starring, this information will appear on the desks of major financial institutions around the world. The tea room fell into dead silence. Only rain outside the window could be heard. Victor Zhao's face shifted between green and white. His sharp eyes were now full of struggle and unwillingness. After a long time, he squeezed out a few words through his teeth. Ethan Fu, you are ruthless. He picked up the USB drive and clenched it tightly. Fine. I agree. When the market opens tomorrow, my people will all withdraw. I hope Chairman Zhao keeps his word. I stood, preparing to leave. Wait. Victor stopped me. Ethan Fu, I'm curious. How did you know Su Qin would betray you? When did you start setting this up? I stopped and turned to look at him. From the first time she lied to me for Julian Liu. That was a year ago. Julian Liu had fallen seriously ill and needed a large sum for surgery. Su Qin came to me crying, saying something had happened in her family and she urgently needed money. I did not think much then. I immediately gave her 1 million. Later, I accidentally found out that every cent had gone to Julian Liu. From that moment, I knew my wife's heart was no longer with me. I did not expose her. Instead, I began quietly investigating her and Julian Liu. Then I found Victor Zhao. I discovered his huge plan against Sheng Group. And I discovered the role that I, Ethan Fu, and Starring Technology played in that plan. So I turned his scheme against him. I pretended to know nothing about what Su Qin was doing. Even when she suggested selling the Ocean Heart to fund Julian Liu's art exhibition, I merely pretended to believe her lie that she had lost the necklace. I allowed her to step deeper and deeper into the trap Victor Zhao had set for her. At the same time, I contacted Serena Sheng and proposed the marriage alliance. I knew that only by tying myself to the Sheng family would I have enough strength to fight the crocodile Victor Zhao. On the day my company listed, Su Qin's call was both her verdict against me and the signal for my counterattack to begin. Everything was in my plan. The stock crash. The public opinion attack. Even my own apparent humiliation. All of it was to lure Victor Zhao, this big fish, step by step into the net I had cast. Looking at Victor's shocked and defeated face, I smiled faintly. Chairman Zhao, you lost because you underestimated your opponent. After saying that, I turned and left, leaving Victor alone in the empty tea room, his face pale. When I walked out of the tea house, the rain had stopped. A familiar car waited by the roadside. The window lowered, revealing Serena's bright face. Done talking? Done. I got in. Result? He withdrew. Serena raised an eyebrow, unsurprised. I knew you had a backup move. She started the car. Where now? Home to celebrate? I looked at the neon night outside the window and suddenly felt tired. No, take me somewhere. To see someone. The car stopped at the entrance of Cloudwater Villa in the western suburbs. This was Su Qin and Julian Liu's new home. Why are you here? Serena asked, confused. To end everything. I got out. Wait for me here. I walked to the brightly lit villa and rang the doorbell. Julian Liu opened the door. The moment he saw me, his face turned as pale as if he had seen a ghost. Fu Yanci. What are you doing here? He wore an expensive silk robe. His hair was combed neatly. But the panic in his eyes could not be hidden. I ignored him and walked straight in. Su Qin was sitting on the living room sofa. When she saw me, she also stood abruptly. Her face was no better than Julian's. Haggard like a withered flower. Clearly, the storm online over the past 2 days had taught her what public judgment felt like. What are you here for? To laugh at us? Her voice was hoarse and full of resentment. I looked around the luxurious villa. Finally, my gaze landed on her. I came to tell you one thing. I looked at her and spoke word by word. Your moonlight, Mr. Julian Liu, is finished. Julian rushed over and grabbed my collar in agitation. You're lying. You're slandering me. I easily pushed his hand away and dusted off my collar as if there were dirt on it. You'll know soon whether I'm slandering you. I took out my phone, opened a video, and threw it onto the tea table. In the video, several gallery owners and art critics faced the camera and accused Julian of using improper means to inflate his works and deceive the market. These are only appetizers. I put the phone away. Soon, the tax department will investigate your tax evasion. And as for those so-called original works of yours, I will have the best legal team discuss copyright with you properly. Julian's legs went weak. He collapsed to the floor. No, impossible, Chairman Shao will protect me, Victor Shao. I laughed. He can barely protect himself now. Do you think he still has time to care about a dog like you? I stopped looking at him and turned to Su Qin. She stared blankly at Julian on the floor, then at me. Her eyes were filled with confusion and fear. Su Qin, everything you have now, this villa, his so-called talent, his future was built on lies and deception. A mirage. And now, the dream should end. I took out a document from my pocket and placed it before her. This is the divorce agreement. I have already signed it. In terms of property, you will receive nothing. Because you committed adultery during marriage and participated in commercial fraud, causing enormous losses to me and my company. If you disagree, my lawyers will make you understand what it means to leave with nothing. Su Qin trembled violently. She picked up the agreement. Looking at the cold clauses, her tears finally broke free. Fu Yanci, why are you treating me like this? She lifted her head and looked at me through tears. We were husband and wife. Looking at her tearful face, I felt not even the slightest ripple. Husband and wife? I bent down, leaned close to her ear, and asked the question I had always wanted to ask. Su Qin, during the 3 years you were married to me, was there even 1 second when you truly loved me? Her crying stopped abruptly. She looked at me. Her lips moved. But she could not say one word. Her silence gave me the answer. I straightened. The last trace of attachment in my heart snapped completely. From my pocket, I took out a small, old music box and placed it on the tea table. It was the first gift I gave her when we got together. Not expensive. But once, it was proof of our love. I'm returning this to you. From now on, we owe each other nothing. After saying that, I turned and walked out of the villa without looking back. Behind me came Su Qin's heart-tearing sobs. I did not turn. I knew that from this moment on, my life had opened a new page. Su Qin and her so-called love would become the past erased from my life. When I walked out, I saw Serena leaning against the car, smoking. Her side profile in the night looked somewhat lonely. When she saw me, she put out the cigarette. Ended? Ended. She opened the car door. Get in. I'll take you back. The car drove through the quiet night. Neither of us spoke. When we were almost downstairs at my apartment, Serena suddenly spoke. Ethan Fu. What do you think about setting our engagement banquet for next month? I turned to look at her. She was also looking at me. Streetlight passed through the window and reflected like tiny stars in her eyes. I suddenly smiled. Okay. Perhaps beginning a new cooperation with this woman would be a good choice. At least she was smart enough. And honest enough. Between us, there was no love. Only interest. Maybe such a relationship was the most stable. The next day, Su Qin came to find me. Not at the company. Downstairs at my apartment. I was about to attend a business banquet with Serena, and I had just reached the lobby when I saw her. She wore yesterday's white dress. Her makeup had smudged. Her hair was messy. Her eyes were swollen red like walnuts. Compared with Serena beside me in a glowing custom evening gown, the contrast was sharp. Yanci. The moment Su Qin saw me, she rushed over, wanting to grab my arm. I instinctively stepped back, avoiding her touch. Serena stepped forward and blocked her. Miss Su, please conduct yourself properly. Her voice was cold and authoritative. Su Qin looked at Serena, then at me. Her tears fell again. Yanci, I was wrong. I know I was wrong, please give me one more chance, okay? She cried and begged. I don't want a divorce. I don't want to divorce you. Looking at her like this, I only found it absurd. Su Qin, did you forget? You were the one who said there was no need to contact each other again. You were the one who registered marriage with another man first. No. It wasn't like that. She shook her head anxiously. I had reasons. Yanci, believe me. Reasons? Serena sneered. Your reason was to betray your own husband and live with another man? Miss Su, your reason is quite special. Shut up. I'm not talking to you. Su Qin shouted at Serena, losing control. Yancy, tell her to leave. I have something to say to you alone. I frowned, irritated by her entanglement. Su Qin, there is nothing left for us to say. I hope you sign the divorce agreement as soon as possible. Otherwise, we can only meet in court. After saying that, I took Serena's hand and prepared to leave. Su Qin suddenly rushed forward and hugged my waist from behind. No. I won't sign. Fu Yancy, you can't do this to me. Her strength was frightening, like a madwoman. I tried to pry her hands away but could not. Let go. My voice carried anger. People in the lobby turned to look, pointing and whispering. At that moment, Noah entered from outside with 2 bodyguards. Seeing this scene, he immediately strode over. Ms. Su, please release Mr. Fu. He signaled the bodyguards. The 2 men stepped forward and forcibly pulled Su Qin away. Su Qin still struggled, crying my name. Fu Yancy. Listen to my explanation. Things are not what you think. It was Julian Lu. Julian Lu deceived me. I adjusted my wrinkled suit, my face dark. Serena came to my side and smoothed my collar. Don't get angry over someone like this. Not worth it. I looked at Su Qin, who was being held by bodyguards and looked utterly miserable. No pity arose in my heart. If she knew this would happen, why did she do it? I said to Noah, take her away. From now on, don't let her appear before me again. Yes, Mr. Fu. Noah was about to have her taken out. But Su Qin suddenly quieted. She looked at me with despair in her eyes. Fu Yancy, do you truly not remember even a little of our past? I looked at her and said nothing. She smiled miserably. Fine. Fine, I understand. Suddenly, she took the music box I had given her yesterday from her pocket and smashed it to the floor. With a sharp crack, the music box broke into pieces. Fu Yancy, this is what you owe me. She pointed at me and screamed. I gave you 3 years of my youth. And this is how you treat me? You and that woman will get karma. I looked at the broken pieces on the floor. The last bit of warmth in my heart shattered with them. I turned to Noah. If she keeps causing trouble, call the police directly. Then I took Serena's hand and walked out of the lobby without looking back. Inside the car, Serena looked at me. You seem to care about that music box. I looked out the window and said nothing. Care? Maybe. After all, it once represented my sincerest feelings. But now, everything was over. Serena did not ask further. She drove quietly. At the banquet that night, I was distracted. The sound of the music box breaking kept echoing in my mind. Along with Su Qin's words, you owe me. I owed her. What exactly did I owe her? After the banquet, Serena drove me home. When we arrived downstairs, I was about to get out, but she stopped me. Ethan Fu. She opened the glove compartment and took something out. Here. For you. I accepted it and froze. It was an identical music box. You don't misunderstand. She looked forward. I just think the end of a story should have a proper full stop. Not a floor covered in ugly broken pieces. She turned to look at me. Let the past pass. Your life has just begun. I looked at the music box in my hand. Then at her. A strange emotion rose in my heart. This woman seemed to always see through my thoughts. Thank you. I said softly. You're welcome. She smiled. After all, we are allies now, aren't we? I got out of the car, holding the music box. I stood by the roadside and watched her car disappear into the night. Only after a long time did I turn and walk into the apartment building. But I did not notice that not far away, in the shadows, a pair of resentful eyes stared fixedly at my back. The following days were calm. Victor Shao indeed kept his promise and stopped attacking Starring. With Shin Group's funding support and the 10 billion yuan buyback plan, Starring's stock price steadily recovered. It even rose higher than when it first listed. News of my engagement with Serena Sheng also became a favorite topic in financial circles and high society. We frequently attended public events together, acting as a loving couple before the cameras. Serena was a natural actress. Every smile, every gaze, perfectly timed. No flaw visible. And under her influence, my acting improved day by day. In outsiders' eyes, we became the most well-matched pair. A powerful alliance. A golden couple. As for Su Qin and Julian Lu, they completely vanished from public view. I heard Julian was sentenced for tax evasion and commercial fraud. His gallery closed. His works became worthless. After Julian's downfall, Su Qin sold the villa and disappeared. She never came to find me again. The divorce agreement was sent by her lawyer. She had signed it. She asked for nothing. It was as if she had never appeared in my life. Everything seemed to be moving in the best direction. My cooperation with Serena also became increasingly smooth. She used Sheng family connections to help Starring secure several overseas orders. I used Starring's technology to help Sheng Group make breakthroughs in several high-tech projects. Our relationship, originally a pure business alliance, gradually gained something else. Outside work, we would eat together, watch movies, go on dates like ordinary couples. Although both of us knew all of it was acting. But sometimes, after acting long enough, even I could no longer tell which part was real and which part was fake. I discovered Serena was not the cold career woman I had imagined. She liked art films and would cry over the plot. She liked roadside spicy hot pot and could be happy for half a day because of one extra fish ball. When I worked late into the night, she would quietly bring me hot coffee. When I was exhausted by work, she would drag me racing, throwing all worries behind us in the rush of speed. She was like a mystery. I could not help wanting to explore and understand her. That night, we had another date. After watching a movie, it was already late. She drove me downstairs. Go up. Rest early. But I did not get out. Jixia. I called her name. Does our engagement banquet still count? I asked. She froze briefly, then smiled. Of course. The play isn't finished. How can the curtain fall early? What if, I looked at her and gathered my courage. What if I don't want to act anymore? The car fell silent. The smile on Serena's face slowly disappeared. She looked at me with complicated eyes. Ethan Fu, what do you mean? I leaned closer and looked into her eyes. Serena Sheng, would you be willing to become the real Mrs. Fu? Not just a nominal one. I thought she would use the old line to remind me, we are allies. But she did not. She only looked at me quietly. For a long time. Just when I thought she would refuse, she suddenly smiled. That smile was like fireworks blooming in the dark night. Brilliant. Mesmerizing. She reached out, hooked her arms around my neck, and kissed me first. This kiss was completely different from the one in the elevator. It was no longer for show. It carried a trace of testing. A trace of hesitation. And a trace of feeling even she herself may not have noticed. After a long time, she finally let me go. Her forehead rested against mine. Her breathing was slightly uneven. Ethan Fu, you had better think this through. Her voice carried a low, seductive hoarseness. Being with me is not easy. I'm a very troublesome person. I smiled and kissed the corner of her lips. What a coincidence. I like looking for trouble. That night, she did not leave. Our lives finally seemed to be moving onto the right track. I thought this was the end of the story. A cliché story about a wounded man finding true love. But I was wrong. I forgot the venomous look in Su Qin's eyes when she left. And I forgot that a man like Victor Xiao would never admit defeat easily. A greater storm was silently approaching us. My engagement banquet with Serena was set for the 15th of the next month. The venue was a 7-star hotel under the Sheng family. All of the city's elites were invited. The Sheng family treated it very seriously. It was practically prepared like a wedding. Serena's father, Henry Sheng, a powerful elder, personally spoke with me once. He did not mention business cooperation. He only spoke like an ordinary father, asking me to treat his daughter well. Jixia was spoiled by us growing up. She has a strong personality. But her heart is good. Yancy, I am entrusting her to you. I hope you will not disappoint me. I gave him a solemn promise. Uncle Sheng, rest assured. In this life, I, Ethan Fu, will never fail her. Our relationship also heated up rapidly day by day. We were no longer acting. We truly behaved like lovers in a passionate relationship, sharing our joys and sorrows. I took her to the orphanage where I grew up and told her stories from my childhood. She took me to her secret base, a mountaintop where we could overlook the entire city at night. We exchanged our pasts. And planned our future. Everything was so beautiful it felt unreal. Until the day before the engagement banquet. That day, I was handling documents at the company when Noah rushed in, visibly alarmed. "Mr. Fu, something happened." I frowned. "What is it? Why are you panicking?" Noah handed me a tablet. You should watch this yourself." On the tablet was a video that had just appeared online. The image was dark, as if filmed in an abandoned warehouse. Su Qin was tied to a chair. Her mouth was sealed with tape. Her face was full of terror. Beside her stood a man. I knew him. Victor Xiao. In the video, Victor held a phone and smiled at the camera with a hideous expression. "Ethan Fu, long time no see. I wonder if you still remember this woman." He reached out, grabbed Su Qin's chin, and forced her to lift her head. "Your ex-wife has suffered quite a lot because of you." He let go and paced beside her. "I heard you're getting engaged to the eldest daughter of the Sheng family tomorrow. Congratulations." His tone was full of mockery. "But I happen to hate seeing others happy. So I decided to give you a big gift." Suddenly, he took something from behind him. It was a music box. Identical to the one I gave Serena. He placed it on Su Qin's lap. "Inside this music box is a small gift. A gift enough to doom you and the Sheng family forever." He patted Su Qin's face. "Now I give you a choice. Before noon tomorrow, bring a share transfer agreement for 50% of Starring Technology to the abandoned steel factory in the west of the city. Exchange it for your ex-wife and this music box. If you don't come, or if you call the police, I will make the contents of this music box public. When that happens, not only will your engagement banquet be ruined, I'm afraid the entire Sheng family will be buried with you." At the end of the video, Victor Xiao's face moved closer to the camera. His smile was sinister. "Ethan Fu, don't try any tricks. I'll be waiting." The video ended. My hand was trembling violently. Not from fear. From rage. Victor Xiao had actually used such a despicable method. "Mr. Fu," Noah's voice carried concern. I shot to my feet. "Prepare the car. Go to the West City Steel Factory." "Mr. Fu. You can't go. This is clearly a trap." Noah blocked me. "I know it's a trap." I shouted at him. "But Su Qin is in his hands. And that music box, what exactly is inside that music box?" I did not know what Victor was doing. But my instinct told me the thing inside the music box was definitely not simple. I could not risk Serena and the entire Sheng family. I pushed Noah aside and was about to leave. The office door suddenly opened. Serena stood at the entrance, her face pale. Clearly, she had also seen the video. "Ethan Fu." She looked at me with complicated eyes. "You are going to save her?" I stood where I was and met Serena's gaze. There was no anger in her eyes. No questioning. Only a calmness I had never seen before. The dead silence before a storm. "Jixia, answer me first." She walked in and closed the door, leaning against it. "You just said, prepare the car, go to the West City Steel Factory. You are going to risk your life for that woman?" She got into trouble because of me. I can't sit by and do nothing. Serena sneered. "Ethan Fu, did you ever consider that Su Qin may have been Victor Xiao's person from the beginning? If you go today, tomorrow our names will be in every headline. Starring CEO cannot forget his ex-wife and abandons the Sheng heiress overnight. That is exactly what Victor Xiao wants." I clenched my teeth. "There is something inside that music box." "What?" "Victor said it could doom us and the Sheng family." Serena's face finally changed. "Do you know what it is?" "I don't." I walked to her and pressed both hands on her shoulders. "But precisely because I don't know, I must go. Jixia, I cannot gamble with your future or the Sheng family's future against an unknown risk. If the music box truly contains something deadly, I cannot let it stay in Victor Xiao's hands for one more minute." Serena stared at me for 5 full seconds. Then she suddenly smiled. That smile carried a trace of sadness. "Ethan Fu, do you know what I fear most about you? I fear this loyal, sentimental side of you." She took a deep breath. "Fine. I'll go with you." "No, don't tell me no." She pushed my hand away, walked to the desk, and picked up my car keys. "Either knock me out right now, or take me with you. Choose one." Looking at her back, I finally compromised. "Jixia, if something happens, we face it together." She turned back and gave me a brief, bright smile. "Besides, I haven't fully secured the position of Mrs. Fu yet." When we left the office, Noah followed. Mr. Fu, I brought 4 men downstairs. All retired special forces. Skilled in firearms and close combat. I glanced at Serena. She nodded. Let's go. The abandoned steel factory in the west of the city was in the suburbs, bleak and desolate. Huge rusted steel frames groaned in the night wind like a giant graveyard. When we arrived, it was 11 at night. 1 hour earlier than the time Victor Xiao had given. You two, circle from the east. You two, from the west. Noah gave instructions cleanly. For shadows disappeared into the night. Mr. Fu, I'll go in through the front with you. I nodded, then turned to Serena. Wait in the car. Lock the doors. Keep the engine on. If anything looks wrong, drive away immediately. Don't worry about us. Serena looked at me. Her lips moved. Ethan Fu, if you dare die, I'll haunt you as a ghost. I smiled. Don't worry. I still owe you a music box. I brought Noah into the steel factory. The grounds were pitch black. Only a faint yellow light shone from the deepest workshop. We followed the light and pushed open the rusted iron door. Victor Xiao stood in the center of the workshop, wearing his always neat Chinese gown. In his hand, he played with a music box. Su Qin was tied to a chair behind him, her mouth sealed. When she saw me enter, her eyes widened violently. She shook her head desperately, muffled sounds escaping from her throat. Mr. Fu, you are very punctual. Victor's voice echoed through the empty workshop. As expected of a man who does great things. I didn't bring the share transfer agreement. I went straight to the point. But name your condition. Money, or something else. Say it clearly. Victor smiled. Mr. Fu is still so straightforward. But today, I am not asking for money. He lifted the music box. Inside this is a recording. Half a year ago, Henry Sheng met with several international predators in Switzerland. The core of their discussion was simple, jointly shorting a domestic new energy giant for profit. My pupils tightened. Henry Sheng shorting his own country? If this recording were exposed, the Sheng family would not simply be ruined. They would go to prison. Victor watched my expression and nodded in satisfaction. It seems Mr. Fu understands the seriousness. My condition is simple. You wanted me to withdraw capital? Fine. But not only do I withdraw. I want 30% of the original shares of Starring Technology in your hands. And this ex-wife of yours. He pointed at Su Qin. You take her away and announce to the media that you are remarrying her. Tomorrow's engagement banquet is cancelled. The workshop fell so silent only the steel frame creaking in the wind could be heard. I stared at Victor Xiao. Why? What why? You planned for so long and set up such a big trap just for 30% of Starring shares? Victor's smile became twisted. Of course not. What I want is for Henry Sheng to fall from the top. The Xiao and Sheng families have fought for 30 years. Now he is going to fall because of his own son-in-law. Don't you think that is interesting? Before his voice fell, Noah suddenly shouted low, Mr. Fu, ambush. As soon as he spoke, 7 or 8 black-clad men rushed out from the shadows on both sides of the workshop. All held iron rods. Victor stepped back and pressed the remote in his hand. The overhead lamps lit up. Blinding white light made it hard to open my eyes. Ethan Fu, did you think I would come alone? He laughed smugly. Since you came today, don't expect to leave. Either agree to my terms, or, he raised his hand. 2 men grabbed Su Qin and tore the tape from her mouth. Su Qin screamed. Yanzi. Save me. Please save me. Her voice was sharp and grating, echoing repeatedly through the empty workshop. I looked at this woman who once made my heart ache. Now she was covered in tears, miserable beyond recognition. Then I spoke. Victor Xiao, have you ever considered one question? What question? Why did I dare walk in alone today? Victor's smile froze. The next second, the workshop doors were smashed open from outside. 4 shadows rushed in like ghosts. They were the men Noah brought. At the same time, glass shattered above us. 2 ropes dropped through the skylight. 2 men in black tactical uniforms descended and landed steadily. Before Victor's men could react, half of them had already been taken down. Then Noah moved. His figure flashed so fast it was almost invisible. Within 3 seconds, the 2 bodyguards closest to Victor collapsed simultaneously. Victor's face turned pale. You brought people. Chairman Xiao, did you really think I would have no backup? I walked toward him step by step. You lost today for 2 reasons. First, you underestimated me. Second, I stopped before him and gently took the music box from his hand. You overestimated yourself. Crack. I snapped the music box open. A tiny recorder fell out. I held it in my palm. This now belongs to me. Victor stepped back and hit the steel frame behind him. Do you think taking that means it's over? I have backups. No, you don't. Serena's voice came from the door. I turned. She walked into the workshop in high heels, holding a phone. Chairman Shao, all encrypted files hidden on your suburban server were remotely erased by my people 20 minutes ago. Including your so-called backups. Victor's face went completely gray. We found that server long ago. Serena walked to my side and glanced coldly at Su Qin, who was tied to the chair. Chairman Shao, you set traps all your life. Did you ever imagine one day someone would trap you instead? Victor stopped speaking. He looked at the two of us standing side by side. Then suddenly, he laughed. The smile carried complete madness and despair. Good. Good. Ethan Fu. Serena Sheng. You win. But don't be smug for too long. In this circle, there are no eternal friends and no eternal enemies. Today you joined hands and kicked me out. Tomorrow, someone else will join hands and kick you out. After saying that, he turned to leave. Stop. I called him. Chairman Shao, there is still one thing you haven't finished. I walked to Su Qin and untied her ropes. Once free, she immediately tried to throw herself into my arms. I moved aside. Su Qin, listen carefully. I looked down at her. Saving you today is the final payment I make for our past. From now on, whether you live or die has nothing to do with me. Su Qin collapsed to the floor, tears streaming down her face. Yancy, I truly know I was wrong. You know you were wrong? I crouched and looked at her levelly. Then let me ask you one question. Are you regretting it now because you once loved me? Or because you discovered Julian Liu cannot give you what you wanted, while I now have everything? Su Qin's crying stopped abruptly. Her mouth opened. For a long time, no words came out. I stood. No longer looking at her. Noah walked over. Mr. Fu, how do we handle Victor Shao? I glanced at Victor. He leaned against the steel frame with his eyes closed, looking as if he had accepted his fate. Call the police. What? Kidnapping, unlawful detention, commercial blackmail. Any one of those is enough to hurt him. I want him to spit out everything he swallowed over the past 30 years from inside prison. Victor suddenly opened his eyes. Ethan Fu. You dare. I dare. I walked to him and placed the recorder from the music box into my pocket. Chairman Shao, when you climbed up over the bodies of others, you should have imagined that one day you would fall. You fell into my hands today because I have the ability. Accept your fate. 3 minutes later, police sirens approached from afar. When Victor Shao was taken away in handcuffs, he looked back at me. There was unwillingness in his eyes. Hatred. But more than anything, complete defeat. The thing he probably regretted most in his life was provoking me, Ethan Fu. After the police left, only a few of us remained in the workshop. Su Qin still sat on the ground, motionless. Serena stood beside me and gently held my arm. Let's go. It's cold here. I nodded. As we walked out, Su Qin suddenly spoke. Fu Yancy. I stopped but did not turn. You asked me just now whether I regret it. Her voice was hoarse and exhausted. What I regret most is not leaving you. It is leaving you while actually believing I had found something better. I said nothing. The music box you gave me, I kept it all along. Her voice began choking. The one I smashed was one I bought later. The one you gave me has always been with me. From her pocket, she took out a small faded box. It was indeed the one from back then. Its corners were worn smooth. I'm not saying this to beg forgiveness. I just wanted you to know. She smiled bitterly. Forget it. Go. I wish you happiness. I took a deep breath. Then I turned and walked to her. She looked up in shock. I crouched and looked her in the eye. Su Qin, I'm taking this music box back. I took the old music box from her hand and held it in my palm. But I do not owe you anymore. I'll say this one final time, from now on, we owe each other nothing. She nodded. Tears slid silently down her cheeks. I stood, took Serena's hand, and walked out without looking back. Outside the steel factory, the night wind was biting. Serena waited in the car. I stood outside, placed the old music box and the new one together, and looked at them for a while. Then I opened the car window. "What is it?" she asked. I handed both music boxes to her. "Keep them for me. From today on, my past and my future are both in your hands." Serena accepted the music boxes and looked at them for a long while. Then she laughed softly. "Ethan Fu, you really are," she paused. "Really impossible not to fall for." I opened the car door and got in. "Let's go home. We still have an engagement tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" She widened her eyes. "Victor Shao has been arrested, and we're still holding the engagement banquet?" "We are. Not only are we holding it, we are holding it grandly." I fastened my seat belt. "I want the entire city to know that Ethan Fu's wife is Serena Sheng. And I want everyone to know Victor Shao has fallen. From now on, the sky over this city has changed." The next evening. Sheng family's 7-star hotel. Brilliant lights. A hall full of guests. Serena and I stood at the entrance of the banquet hall, accepting everyone's congratulations. "Mr. Fu. Congratulations. Miss Sheng looks beautiful today. A perfect match made in heaven." Camera flashes nearly blinded us. Reporters lined up outside the banquet hall, cameras aimed at us. "Mr. Fu, are you and Miss Sheng truly in love?" "Mr. Fu, rumors say your ex-wife Su Qin appeared in the west of the city last night. Did you know?" Serena spoke before I could. Holding my arm, she smiled. "Today is our good day. We hope everyone will not mention irrelevant people. Yancy and I truly love each other. Time will prove that." Applause sounded from the crowd. I held her hand and looked at her profile. Today she wore a moon-white gown. Her hair was pinned up, revealing her long, graceful neck. She was as beautiful as the first day I met her. But now, there was a trace of real warmth. "Nervous?" I asked softly. "A little." She answered quietly. "But more happy. Ethan Fu, do you know? From the beginning, I never planned to only do business with you." When I agreed to the marriage alliance, I had already decided. If you were useless, I would use you and then throw you away. If you were an opponent, I would play the game with you to the end. But if you were someone worthy, she turned to look at me, eyes smiling. Then I would marry you. Truly marry you. I froze. "So from the beginning, you were calculating me?" "Same to you." She tilted her head. "Weren't you the same? From the day you found me, you were planning how to use Sheng Group's resources to fight Victor Shao. We are both no better than each other." I could not help laughing. "Serena Sheng, you woman, what about me? I like you." Halfway through the banquet, I went on stage to give a speech. Below sat hundreds of guests. Most came because of the Sheng family's face. But quite a few came because of Starring Technology's recent performance in the market. Standing before the microphone, I scanned the faces below. Then I spoke. "Thank you all for coming today to attend my engagement banquet with Xixia. Over the past few months, many things have happened. Someone betrayed me. Someone schemed against me. Someone tried to step me into the dirt. But today, standing here, I want to tell everyone one thing." I paused. My gaze landed on Serena below the stage. "You never know how much power a person forced to the edge can unleash. Victor Shao has fallen. Su Qin is gone. Julian Liu is in prison. And I in Starring Technology will only become stronger than before." Thunderous applause erupted. Serena stood with a glass of champagne and walked toward me. She came on stage and stood beside me. "Ethan Fu, the reporters recorded what you just said. What is there to fear?" I accepted her champagne and clinked glasses with her. "I told the truth. I'm afraid no one will dare provoke you in the future." She smiled. "Then let them fear me." I wrapped an arm around her waist and kissed her forehead lightly. Cheers rose from below. "Kiss. Kiss." Serena's cheeks reddened slightly. She glared at me. I lowered my head and whispered beside her ear, "Mrs. Fu, when we get home tonight, I'll kiss you slowly." She pinched my waist. "Mr. Fu, you are getting smoother with your words. I learned from you." 3 days later, Victor Zhao's case officially went to trial. I appeared as a witness. In court, Victor still wore that Chinese long gown and sat in the defendant's seat expressionlessly. But when I submitted the recording from the music box, his face finally changed. Ethan Fu. You. Chairman Shao, you recorded it yourself. I stood in the witness stand, calm. Half a year ago, when you met those international predators in Switzerland, you personally used the recorder inside the music box. You originally wanted to use it to threaten the Sheng family. You did not expect that in the end, it would send you in. The judge struck the gavel. Silence. Victor collapsed back into his seat. In the end, Victor Shao was sentenced to 25 years in prison for kidnapping, unlawful detention, commercial extortion, money laundering, and multiple other crimes. When the officers escorted him out, he turned back and looked at me. I still remember what was in his eyes. Not hatred. Admiration. Ethan Fu, you won. But remember this. I will come back. In 25 years, you'll already be 80. I replied lightly. Chairman Shao, enjoy retirement. He was taken away. When I walked out of the courthouse, Serena waited at the steps. The sunlight was beautiful. She held a white parasol and wore a light blue dress, looking much softer than usual. Ended? Ended. I walked down and took the parasol from her. What's next? Next. I looked down at her. Mrs. Fu, shouldn't we go on a honeymoon? She froze. The engagement banquet was only a few days ago, and you already want a honeymoon? Victor Shao is in prison. The company stock is stable. Su Qin disappeared. Julian Liu was sentenced. I counted one by one. Everything is solved. What are we waiting for? She smiled and looked up at me. Fine. Where do you want to go? Maldives. Or Iceland? You choose. Iceland. She narrowed her eyes, looking at the sun. I want to see the aurora. Then Iceland. I folded the parasol and held her hand. But before that, did you forget something? She looked at me blankly. I leaned close to her ear. I haven't collected last night's debt yet. Her face instantly flushed red. She raised a hand to hit me. Ethan Fu, I predicted it and turned to run. Wearing high heels, she chased me 2 steps before giving up, standing at the courthouse entrance and shouting, "Stop right there." I stood below the steps and looked back at her. Sunlight fell over her. The wind lifted the hem of her dress. Her face carried that expression of angry embarrassment mixed with uncontrollable laughter. In that instant, I felt that all the suffering in my life had been worth it. 1 month later, Serena and I returned from Iceland. The aurora was indeed beautiful. But more beautiful was her profile as she looked up at the sky beneath it. I took many photos of her and saved them on my phone. One became my lock screen. The day we returned, Noah picked us up at the airport. Mr. Fu, there is one thing I need to report. Say it. Ms. Su Qin came to find you last week. You were not here. She left a letter. He took an envelope from his briefcase. I accepted it. There was no signature on the cover. Only one line, for Fu Yanxi. I opened it. Inside was a sheet of paper. The handwriting was messy, as if written very quickly. Fu Yanxi. When you read this letter, I will already have left this city. I have said the words, "I'm sorry," too many times. You may already be tired of hearing them. But I still want to say them. You were right. When I left you, it was not because of love. It was because of greed. I thought Julian Liu could give me a better life. I thought you were only a sudden rich man who would fall sooner or later. I was wrong. Terribly wrong. I kept the innermost part of the music box you gave me. On it was carved a line. You may have forgotten it yourself. In this life, I will not fail you. In the next life, we meet again. When you gave it to me back then, I did truly like you. Only later, I forgot. You are very good. I hope you and Miss Sheng will be happy. I'm leaving. I won't disturb you again. Su Qin. I finished reading and stayed silent for a long time. Serena leaned over and read the letter. Then she said nothing. Only held my hand. Let's go. She said softly. Home. I folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. Noah, keep this for me. Yes, Mr. Fu. On the ride back, I watched the scenery flash past the window. A place inside me felt empty. But at the same time, it seemed to be filled by something else. What are you thinking about? Serena asked. A person. Who? Myself. She looked at me, confused. I'm thinking that half a year ago, when I stood inside the exchange hall ringing the bell and received Su Qin's call, I thought the sky had collapsed. I turned and looked at her. But now I am sitting here, with you beside me. Victor Shao is in prison. The company's market value has doubled. Tell me, does this count as a comeback? Serena tilted her head and thought. It counts. And an extremely satisfying one. She leaned over and kissed the corner of my mouth. But Mr. Fu, comeback or not, don't forget the movie you promised to watch with me tonight. What movie? Love Under the Aurora. Do I look like the Aurora to you? Ethan Fu. She pinched my arm. I laughed and dodged. Fine, fine. We'll watch any movie you want. After the movie, I'll take you to Spicy Hot Pot. 2 extra fish balls. She froze. Then smiled. That smile was as bright as the aurora in Iceland. 3 months later, Starring Technology released its annual financial report. Revenue had grown 230% year-on-year. Net profit margin hit a new industry record. At the press conference, I announced that Starring would enter the overseas artificial intelligence market and establish a new joint venture with Sheng Group. After the press conference, financial media described me as Ethan Fu, from capital market newcomer to industry leader in less than a year. This year's most legendary comeback story. Starring Technology's Ethan Fu, everyone who once looked down on me is now silent. Reading those reports, I did not feel much. What truly moved me was the moment I pushed open the door and came home. Serena wore an apron and busied herself in the kitchen. The smell of food filled the room. You're back? She asked without turning around. What are you cooking today? Your favorites. But, she turned around, holding a spatula and looking at me seriously. There is something I need to tell you. What is it? I'm pregnant. My briefcase fell to the floor. What did you say? I said I'm pregnant. 2 months. I wanted to surprise you, but you've been so busy lately I was afraid you would exhaust yourself. Before she finished, I rushed over and lifted her into my arms. Hey! The pot! The pot is still on. I quickly put her down, turned off the stove, then hugged her again. Mrs. Fu. My face was buried in her shoulder. My voice was slightly choked. This is the best day of my life. She patted my back. Enough, enough. Don't cry. You're a big CEO. If someone takes a photo, you'll be trending again. Let them take it. I lifted my head and looked at her with reddened eyes. The proudest work of my life is not Starring Technology. It is you. She froze. Then laughed softly and wiped the corner of my eye. Ethan Fu, when did you become so good at talking? After meeting you. That night, we ate dinner together. During dinner, she kept talking about what to name the baby. I said Fu Xingchen. She said it was too common. I said Fu Wangji. Wangji, as in looking toward the aurora. She glared at me. Are you obsessed? Is your brain full of auroras? We laughed and argued. In the end, we decided to wait until the baby was born. After dinner, I washed dishes. She leaned against the kitchen doorway, watching me. Ethan Fu. Have you ever thought about this? If Su Qin had never called you that day, never left you, what would you be like now? I paused and thought. I might still be a fool. Deceived by her for life. And in the end, the company would probably be swallowed by Victor Shao, leaving me with nothing. So, she tilted her head. Should you thank her? I turned and looked at her. I do thank her. Without her betrayal, I would never have met you. I would never have known how far I could go. Do you hate her? I used to. Now, I walked over and pulled her into my arms. Now I only want to thank you. Thank me for what? Thank you for appearing when I was at my most humiliated. Thank you for not despising a man covered in wounds. Thank you, I lowered my head and kissed the top of her hair. For being willing to marry him. She leaned against my chest and stayed quiet for a long time. Then she said softly, Ethan Fu, I thank you too. Thank you for letting me know that a so-called business marriage can become real love. Outside the window, city lights glittered like a galaxy. On the living room coffee table sat 2 music boxes. One was old. Its edges were worn smooth. On it was carved a line so faded it was nearly unreadable. In this life, I will not fail you. In the next life, we meet again. The other was new. On it was carved another line. In this life, I failed you. In the next life, I will repay you. The 2 music boxes sat side by side. Like a person's past and present. The faucet in the kitchen was still dripping. The living room TV was playing the evening news. The anchor's excited voice reported, "Starring Technology's stock price reached a new high today. President Ethan Fu has been selected as one of the top 10 business leaders of the year." I turned off the faucet and held Serena's shoulder. "Mrs. Fu. For the rest of my life, please guide me." She smiled and lifted her head. The city lights reflected in her eyes. "For the rest of my life, please guide me too, Mr. Fu." The lights went out. But the story that belonged to Ethan Fu and Serena Sheng had only just begun. That's all for today's story. Remember to subscribe and leave a comment.